Today we are at Erasmus University College. What comes to their mind is Erasmus Mundus, Erasmus Plus, exchange program.
You chose your major and you're like, it was the wrong choice to still change that major. So that's also a big advantage from another program where you're stuck. You can practice being a doctor in the Netherlands and Europe.
Basically, they can be admitted to pre-med course at Erasmus University College without knowledge of Dutch.
You can combine your liberal arts study, so a Bachelor of Science, with a Bachelor of Arts. Yes, we are selective. We look at an average grade. We look at mathematics and we look at your English. We want to see the person behind this application.
What kind of information students watching this video would think of adding to this statement?
Maybe you don't even have to have your future completely planned out.
Is it hard to study at Erasmus University College? It reminds me a bit of scouts, in the sport of football who would look for potential in young players. Let's talk about money.
It's very international, but in a very different way from Amsterdam.
Rotterdam is worth it. Living in Rotterdam is absolutely worth this stress. Okay, today we are at Erasmus University College. Shelly de Vos is with me today. She's an international recruitment officer at Erasmus University College. And she was so kind to show me around this beautiful campus, which is quite unique, located in the very heart of Rotterdam, in the very center, with this beautiful balcony and a beautiful library and a lot of facilities around. It looks really great, really advantageous for students.
Thank you.
So, Shelly, when we say Erasmus University College, we understand that not many students actually know the concept of university college in the Netherlands in general. And when they hear Erasmus, what comes to their mind is Erasmus Mundus, Erasmus Plus, exchange program, Erasmus University, of course. But can you tell us what really Erasmus University College is and how is it different, of course, from Erasmus University? Yeah.
Yes. So it's indeed funny. Whenever I go abroad, I hear this question all the time, like, you're the exchange program. And that's not the case. It's not even related. So the name is a Dutch philosopher and humanist called Desiderius Erasmus. And he's just very famous that he was born here in Rotterdam. So we all get that name from him. But Erasmus University College is one of programs within the bigger Erasmus University. We are a liberal arts and sciences program within the university. And the big difference from the other programs is that you have programs at Erasmus, for instance, like business, law, psychology, and those are singular traditional programs. Yeah. They focus on one specialization immediately. And within the liberal arts, it's actually, you have the opportunity to look at multiple disciplines before you specialize.
Can we then say that it's more for students who are not sure which specialization they want in the future, or is it suitable for a wider range of students? How do you describe actually the best target groups of students who would be interested in university college more than a bachelor's program, for example, in the same Erasmus University?
I think there's two different types of target groups. I think on the one hand, you have students who are very unsure yet what they want to study. They graduate from high school and they are like, I don't know really what I want to do yet. So that's one group. The other group would be a group who is interested in multiple disciplines. They would be interested simultaneously in business, but also psychology. They just have a lot of interest and they want to know and learn about as many things as possible.
But then if there is such a broad spectrum of what they can study at Erasmus University College, I see how advantages it can be for students, but can it also have a downside of having not enough credits, for example, to specialize in masters in the future?
So what we try to do within our academic process is align it with everything necessary to go into that master's. Specifically, of course, within our own university, but also universities in other place in the Netherlands or even abroad. You will be guided throughout those 3 years. And at some point, you will have to choose a major and you will have to think about what you want after your graduation at Erasmus University. And you can always talk to the major coordinators if you tell them, I'm thinking about studying this and this master's. They will tell you, okay, for this master's, you need this and this and this course.
So you can still modify during your studies.
Yes, you build it yourself.
Flexible. We know that, for example, Amsterdam University College has a very broad and flexible curriculum that Leiden University College was built around the idea of tackling global challenges. And we have, of course, Utrecht University College, which is also very flexible and famous in the Netherlands, and many other university colleges. What does Erasmus University College stand out for?
So the first thing I want to tackle when it comes to that is that all the university colleges have a different way of building their curriculum. For Erasmus University College, it is a major system. So the first year is orientation year, and from the second year, you choose your major. And you have the flexibility if you chose your major and you're like, it was the wrong choice, to still change that major. So that's also a big advantage from another program where you're stuck. We don't have a block of courses that you have to follow. You can really choose your curriculum. I think that's one of the things that sets us apart from the other colleges. There's two other things that really sets us apart. We have a very strong life sciences department. That means, for instance, we have a pre-med track in English. Normally in the Netherlands, it's hard to do a medical track because
possible. I haven't heard of many of.
No, because it's either in Dutch or the master's is in Dutch. We have two routes you can take after graduation. So one is the Dutch route, where you have 36 spots at Erasmus Medical Center guaranteed for our students. Then you need to learn Dutch, but you can practice being a doctor in the Netherlands and Europe. The other route is to continue your study for 4 years in a master program in the Caribbean. We have 3 partnerships there. You can be a medical doctor in North America, in the United States, or in Canada. Those 2 routes offer a lot of flexibility and opportunity. But students who want to study medicine will have to think, what language do I want to study in? Where do I want to study? And where do I want to be a medical doctor in the end?
Basically, they can be admitted to pre-med course at Erasmus University College without knowledge of Dutch.
Yeah.
And even without background in sciences, just with
Exactly.
secondary.
Yes, all they need really is an average grade that we look at, math and English. So not even biology. So that's very interesting.
That's very interesting option because I have had students asking me if they can study bachelor's in the Netherlands to become, for example, general practitioners. But all the programs I've been looking for in Dutch.
One more thing I would like to add. Another thing that sets us apart is our Razel dual degree. And that's where you can combine your liberal arts study, so a Bachelor of Science, with a Bachelor of Arts. If you're really into arts, you can think of design, photography, music. Then you have the opportunity to combine those. It only takes 5 years instead of 7 years, and you only pay 1 tuition fee. So that's also a really nice opportunity. And that's something that other university colleges do not offer.
But they get both diplomas at the same time.
And so if they say, I'm going to study business or psychology, then that's up to them. The art part is, they will have to pick if it's either music or design, but then they will follow that track. So they will get both degrees and they will be professionals in both disciplines.
For arts, do you collaborate with other institutions?
Yeah, so it's Willem de Koning in Rotterdam. That's for the design, the photography, those kind of fine arts. And when it comes to music, it's Coda in Rotterdam.
So they're both located in Rotterdam, and do students study in different campuses?
Yes, and the schedules are aligned. So the institutions align the schedules for you so that you, during those 5 years, can, study at both institutions.
Perfect. It sounds like at Erasmus University College, you can do like anything, whatever comes to your mind. And you'll be supported and you can be flexible with your curriculum and then get eventually the diploma that is very well recognized in Europe, as I see, and continue to masters either in the Netherlands or abroad. It gives really broad approach.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are part of the bigger Erasmus University and you get your Erasmus University diploma because you're an Erasmus student.
Any advantages for students graduating from a university college to get accepted to masters to Erasmus University? Or is it more the mindset and the soft skill?
Yes, absolutely that. I think during the application, of course, if you have a diploma from Erasmus, that weighs. But I think you have a little advantage because at the university college, it's also a lot about your own personal development. There's a lot of focus on that. And you're interdisciplinary and international, intercultural. You see things from multiple perspectives. And I think that separates you from a student who does just a regular track bachelor program.
Yeah, that's true. Let's talk about admissions. That's what is most interesting, of course, for international students. We will put the links to the most important admissions requirements under the video so that they can check out. But can you just quickly go through the admissions process? Because I know University College is a selective university, which is also relatively rare in the Netherlands. How does this selection procedure works? What are you looking for?
Yes, we are selective. So that means that we select between 200 and 240 students every year for first years. And what we look at is a couple of things. First of all, of course, your grades. So based on the diploma type you have, we look at an average grade. We look at mathematics, that's very important, and we look at your English. English because the program's in English. Mathematics is because you have to have a basic knowledge of math to be able to do the first orientation year, because you're going to do a little bit of everything, so you need that basic math. But otherwise, all other subjects we really don't look at. So those are the basic things. The second thing that we look at is your motivation letter. On our website, you will find blogs with the questions that we want to know. And what I always say is that it's really important that we get to know you. Who are you? We want to see the person behind this application. So anything you can tell us about your free time, if you do voluntary work, if you do an internship, if you maybe even, sometimes I say people take care of their sick relatives. It tells us something about you. So anything you can tell us about yourself is very important. So that's the motivation letter.
I've seen the template for a motivational statement, and it indeed says it requires a lot of information about extracurricular activities and about who you are and what your interests are. Why is that important? What kind of information students watching this video, for example, would think of adding to this statement so that the admission officers look at it and think, well, that is attractive to us?
We think it's important that students are curious, think critically, want to be in an international and intercultural environment. So we really want to see if you are that person that shows curiosity. I would even say that maybe you don't even have to have your future completely planned out. Maybe you can be very open-minded and open to what's going on in the world and be flexible and look at the opportunities. So that type of student, we're looking for that specific type of student for our college.
Like with academic curiosity and being open-minded. And this helps you to understand that the student can succeed in this.
Absolutely, yes. Because the reason also is we work with problem-based learning. That is a teaching type where you sit in a room together, 12 to 14 students, and it's not about a teacher telling the students all the information. No, you analyze a problem together. So you have a role in this whole situation. And then the next week you come back and you've studied and you tell each other what you found out. So the type of student that works well with that, that's what we're looking for.
And that's what students, I think, like most about University College concept, is that it has close discussions in a group with a lecturer. They work in small groups, even in the room that we're sitting in now. It has, like maybe 15 to 20 chairs. So this is the size of group, and then they can contribute to discussions.
So you would have to be disciplined to study yourself as well. That's really important to know. That's why we really look at those things in admissions.
Yes. It's hard to study at Erasmus University College. If I were a student, it would be much more interesting for me to sit in these small groups and contribute to discussions. But on the other hand, I would automatically think it's more difficult.
Yeah, of course, dependent on the students. But it is, it's not easy. You have to work. You have to love exploring the topics that you're working on, working in groups, these kinds of things.
In terms of hours, it's more or less the same as for traditional bachelors.
Yes, maybe a bit more, a more self-study, because there's little time in the classrooms. It's intense time in the classrooms, but little, and then you have to do a lot of self-study.
Yes. All right. So we talked about what students can put in their motivational statements. Is there anything you can say that better avoid, or are there any common mistakes that you see in application that immediately spoil the impression of an admission officer? Applicant?
I've asked this question to my colleagues. The first thing they said was what happens so often is that students don't have a full application. They either forget documents or something is missing in the application. I would say it tells us something about you. If you are very organized, if you put everything together at once, then we're like, this person knows what they're doing. They've read everything. It tells us something about you as well. But other than that, we will have to email you back. We are still missing this, blah, blah, blah. So that's one of the main things. Another thing I can say is that what is really important is that, and it might sound obvious, but we really want you to tell us why you want to study with us in Rotterdam, and also that you know what liberal arts is. Sometimes we get applications and they think that they're applying to a business program, for instance.
Yes.
That's a no-no, because we want you to show us that you understand what you're applying to.
Yeah, I agree that it's kind of a first step and also first test you take when you're applying to the program. Me also being admissions officer in the past, I remember that even how the statement is structured with the font and the paragraphs and everything, it can really tell you something about the person already. If from what I see, you have a lot of fairs, online meetings with applicants, and if students have questions, the best is really to approach admissions first, right?
So we have a couple of options how you can reach us. You can come to our events. You can send an email to admissions. I personally am also approachable. You can plan a 30-minute call with me if you want to, our admissions colleagues as well. We also have students online who you can talk to if you feel more comfortable talking to peers. So that's also an option. So there's lots of ways you can get in contact with us and that you can ask your questions, anything you need. When we've looked at your diploma and your grades, when we've looked at your motivation letter, we like what we see, then you will be invited for an interview. What's really nice is that we ask one of our students to join that interview and the staff members. And then I would always recommend ask as many questions as you can, because again, that tells us that you're interested in learning, curious, you want to know more. So questions is the tip I can give you.
It's what I also hear from recruiters, for example, when you go to a job interview and the last question they ask, do you have questions to us? And the worst thing is to have, no, I don't have.
Yes.
This is also very important to show your curiosity and show how engaged and committed you are to this program, to job in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. Have you seen situations with like students with average grades? Grades are not like super high, but they have shown this academic curiosity and extracurricular activities in motivation statement, and somehow the impression from the also helped them to be selected over the candidate with better grade.
Absolutely. Yes, it is indeed possible. Again, the motivation that is very important in that sense. So like I said earlier, if you describe something about your personal situation, for instance, we had a student who was working at in a care home, in an elderly home, let's say, doing voluntary work. And they also described their reflection, what that meant to them and how they've grown because of that. If you show us that, that's really something that we appreciate, for instance. Another thing that I can think of was, for instance, a student relating to their photography portfolio in one of the motivations. So they sent us a link. And they also explained to us why and what their reflection was on their art and everything. We love that. That is really something that would be, and even if your grades are then not, top, of course they have to have a certain level, don't get me wrong, but it's not above and beyond, then you'll definitely be invited for an interview.
It's interesting. It reminds me a bit of scouts, in a sport of football who would look for potential in young players. I feel that the energy is more like looking for your potential from things that are not that obvious from your diploma or from your resume, but that can really, as a personality, you can contribute to studies. You can be really motivated and enthusiastic and bring the energy to the classroom. Then you'll be appreciated, supported, and get the chance to really study.
That's a good summary.
Okay, let's talk about money. I know it's expensive to live in Rotterdam and to study in Rotterdam. Do you have rough estimation of what budget students should have to live in Rotterdam, like monthly budget? And first question, if there are any scholarships that can help with that, to study and to live in the Netherlands. And the second question is if there is a campus first students can live.
Yeah. So of course there's the tuition fee, and in the Netherlands, the tuition fees are relatively okay, also for international students, but you have to look beyond the tuition fee because there's a lot of different costs involved. Housing is definitely one of them. Housing in Rotterdam, you can think about €1,000 per month. That's normal because it's a very busy city. We have a housing crisis. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. You can get subsidized for the rent. So look into that. That's very important. Another thing is just your average thing, like your social activities, your insurances. There's a lot of things you need to take into consideration. So overall, yeah, you have a lot of money to spend. In the Netherlands, scholarships are not, no, not that popular, not like the States or the UK. But for us at EUC, we do have a scholarship. It's called the EUC scholarship. It's based on financial needs. If you need financial aid, we can offer that. And it's 50% off the tuition fee on a yearly basis. But yeah, you need to make your budget independently. We do have some things on our website that we give you an idea, but it's important for you to take a look at it.
So when you say €1,000, it's a private sector. I understand that residential campus is a little more affordable.
Yes. So we actually, our housing is mandatory. So it's part of the whole experience of doing this liberal arts and sciences program. All first years live there, and it's because we want to create that community feel and easy friendships. You can think about, for your room, you pay about €750 a month. So it's a little bit cheaper than the private sector, let's say. You have everything. So it's your own room. You have a kitchen, you have a bathroom, you have everything you need, but you're also able to hang out with your friends in mutual spaces. What is nice, it's in the heart of the city. So it's at Stadhuisplein. A lot of internationals won't know this, but that's like a big inner city place where a lot of people also go to party, for instance. And that's only a 10-minute walk away from this campus where we are now.
All first-year students get a chance to live in a campus, or are the places limited?
We make sure that we have guaranteed housing for everyone. So if you apply to EUC, you are guaranteed a space. We do make exceptions for certain people. Like there could be certain personal circumstances where people are not able to live in our housing. Then we make exceptions. But in theory, there's enough room for everybody, and we make it mandatory to go there.
That's great. That really creates this sense of community among students, and they can make friends and social interactions.
Yeah. One thing to add, because I know people always ask me this, what after that 1 year? Because then I need to find my own place. Yes, but we do have supports. Because we're so small, you probably know third years who are moving out because they're graduating. So those connections are there. We do make a lot of effort to help students early on in the stage when they're looking for a house to find something. It always works out, although it could be stressful. I do want to mention this because that's just the honest thing that is the case right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Rotterdam is worth it. Living in Rotterdam is absolutely worth this stress, because you get this business vibes, connections, and a great city, one of the best in the Netherlands, for sure. I love Rotterdam.
I agree, but I'm biased. I've lived here all my life, so.
Yeah. Since we talk about Rotterdam, can you tell us about the city itself and about student life in Rotterdam? How is it different from studying in Amsterdam? Because I know that many international students coming to the Netherlands, they really strive to live in a capital. Some really like The Hague because it's closer to beach. What about Rotterdam?
I think Rotterdam is very different from all the other places. It's a very cosmopolitan place. It's very vibrant. We have the port of Rotterdam, and that is just a place where there's a lot of businesses, a lot of employers, a lot of opportunities. So it's very international, but in a very different way from Amsterdam, where Amsterdam is more a little bit tourism. Then Rotterdam is still a lot of internationals, but different, more businessy. We have a great art and cultural scene, lots of different restaurants, different kinds of food, and we're very diverse. If you walk in the street in Rotterdam, you see people of all shapes, forms, colors. And I think as an international, that's important, that you can also recognize yourself in other people and feel comfortable. Sure. And I feel like Rotterdam has that diversity.
Thank you very much, Shelly, for finding time in your busy schedule.
Thank you.